Okay, thank you everybody for joining. We have interim head coach Mike Petersen here. Mike, we'll start with an opening statement from you and then we'll go to questions.
Great. So everyone in the organization is just thrilled for Nikki and her family. Baylor's getting a great coach and it's a great opportunity for Nikki. So we're all just our players, super happy for our organization, super happy for, and we know that she's going to do great things there. And now it's just about us coming together as a group, and for Darius and I, who are very much going to work together here. Been working together for the last 3 years, and we're going to work together on this thing. It's just about us serving our players and providing them with the best opportunity to have success, providing them with structure and guidance so that they know what the expectations are.
All right, we'll go to questions. If you have a question for Mike, please raise your hand in the chat. I'll call on you. Our first question comes from Howard Megdal from The Next. Go ahead, Howard.
Hey, Mike, thanks for taking the time to chat.
Yeah, no worries. Hi, Howard.
I'm hoping you to take me through just the last day or two, when this first started to be on your radar, anything to tell me about just sort of how this has come about and what that process has been like.
Here's what I can tell you for sure. I'm like old school and I have a day planner, and at no point on yesterday's date was written in become an interim head coach of the Atlanta Dream. Okay. I mean, we found out, Darius and I found out that Nikki was as involved as she was yesterday morning before practice, frankly. So, and that's the way these things happen. Our industry, whether it's college or the pros, a lot of times these things pop in a hurry, right? And so, we found out then, and from that point forward, a lot of Zooms and some team Zooms and some Zooms with ownership, and we just spent basically all day yesterday meeting and talking and making sure that we were doing the right thing for the players in this organization, because this is just a fabulous group of players. They've been so good all camp. They've had tremendous energy and focus. And so, my thing is just, I'm here to serve. That's all. It's the same thing I was here the last 3 years. I'm here to serve our players. And so, however the organization asked me to serve, that's what I'm going to do.
Next question comes from Charles Odom from AP. Go ahead, Charles.
Hi. You said that you want to bring structure to the team. Also considering the recent move with the change at the top with the president and GM.
Yeah.
Is there a sense that stability and structure is a elusive goal?
No, I don't think so. Again, one of the things about teams and athletes, okay, is frankly, we usually operate in a little bubble. I mean, we were all in the bubble last year, right? But even in a normal year, the best teams and the best athletes very much operate in a bubble. They very much insulate themselves from distraction. The best teams do. And so this group has been frankly very good at being focused on their teammates, being focused on the process, being focused on the work at hand, whether that's in the practice gym or in the recovery area or in the weight room. And so, there's not going to be a very big change in terms of how we operate day to day. Nikki always involved Darius and I a lot in the process, in practice, in game preparation, during the game. And so our players are very used to hearing our voices. And so that won't be a very big change at all. And so what Darius and I want to do is just make sure that they know that we're here for them, and that there's going to be, here's the plan. Okay. Here's how we're operating. And it'll be a little different. I mean, Darius and I aren't Nikki. There you go. So it'll be a little different. Personalities are a little different. Approach is a little different. But by and large, we want to be able to just give the players that framework. And good athletes love routine, okay? The best athletes have great habits, right? And so if we can give them a framework to develop their habits in, then we're doing a good job for them.
Next question comes from Michelle Vogel from ESPN. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Mike. Obviously you have a ton of experience as a head coach, going back decades. I wonder if you could maybe talk about, like you said, there's probably not going to be drastic differences, but a little bit maybe differences or unique things about your style, and how you think that meshes with this group. I know you haven't had a whole lot of time to think about it, but being in charge of a young group with a lot of talent, what are your thoughts about how your style meshes with that?
Yeah, I mean, I have coached a lot of games. That's, when people say that, I always think, well, that's a polite way of saying I'm really old. But the meshing with this group, we've already been doing that. You know what I mean? We were doing that for the last however many days we've been in training camp. We did it with the group last year in the bubble, right? And so, I don't think that's a big adjustment, frankly, for the players or for us. We talked about it today when we met. This group was assembled by our staff. So everyone that's on this team, Darius, Nikki, and I were in agreement about, boy, this is a great piece to add to this group. And so it's not like, well, Nikki's gone, so the one that really wanted me here is gone, right? We all were in agreement on the way this group has come together. And so I think that makes it easier, and there will be some differences. I told the team today, I'm a short practice guy. That's just me. Now, that doesn't mean they're easy. We're going to go short, we're going to go hard, and we're going to get out of here, right? And so our practices will be a little bit shorter. And, I'm very much an offensive end of the floor person. Okay. And so Darius is going to be very dialed in on the defense. We're going to do this very cooperatively. Okay. And so he'll be really dialed in on the D, and I'll be really dialed in on the O. And so that'll be a little different, I guess. But, my deal is treat people right, try to be as positive as you can all the time. People like positive reinforcement. They usually respond better to it.
Next question is from Justin Felder from Fox 5 Atlanta. Go ahead, Justin.
Hey, Mike, when you guys had the Zoom meeting yesterday with the team to let them know the news, with how close this is to the regular season starting, was there any disappointment or frustration or surprise, or did everybody kind of, not round of applause, was everybody for it right away, or were there some mixed feelings with how close it is to the season?
Well, I think there's mixed feelings. I mean, again, people don't like change. You know what I mean? They just don't. And so this is change, and it's change close to the start of the season, as you've said, right? But I can tell you this, the players in this organization were absolutely unanimously fabulous with Nikki. Every one of them was just, Coach, we're so happy for you. This is such a great opportunity for you. We're going to follow your team. There was no animosity or whatever the right word is, right? There was just none of that. It was just positive. And so I think that was great. I think it's a reflection of two things. A, Nikki has really good relationships with these players. And B, these players are adults, right? They get that this is a profession, okay? And their approach reflected that. Now, are you asking me if some of them are disappointed? Yeah, for sure. If they weren't, there'd be something wrong, right? If they're not disappointed right now, it means they didn't have a relationship with Nikki, and Nikki's a relationship person, okay? And so I've talked to a couple of our players already about, hey, it's okay that you're emotional right now, okay? It's okay that you're disappointed right now. If you weren't, there'd be something wrong. It would mean you didn't care, and that's not a good way to go through it, right?
Next question is from Doug Feinberg from the AP. Go ahead, Doug.
Hey, Mike, I got two for you.
Beautiful.
The first one is, did you have any thoughts or interest of going with Nikki to Baylor and going back to college?
No, and that's no reflection on Baylor, okay? I mean, I lived in Texas in the off season for the last several years, and a lot of my best friends are Baylor people, right? So I've been brainwashed that it's a wonderful place. Okay. But that's just not, that's not where I'm at right now in my career. You know what I mean? And so that wasn't, you know, really on the radar at all. And as I told the ownership group yesterday when we talked, okay, when Nikki called me initially 3 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever it's been now, about coming here as her one of her assistants, you know, I told her that I'll come and this is who I am. Okay, I'll be here to help and I'll be here to serve in any way you want me to. Okay, I'm here to help our players and serve our players. And you know, I told the ownership group the same thing last night. Hey, I'm here, and whatever you want to do with me, I'm good with. I'm here to help our players. I'm here to serve our players. Okay. And so that really wasn't much of a thought. You know what I mean?
Sure. The second question is just, I mean, interim tag, are you expecting, this is a tryout for being the head coach down the road?
No,
Just
thank
for the
you.
year?
No, thank you. No, I mean, again, one of the benefits of having been in this profession a really long time, okay, and it's a wonderful profession. I've been unbelievably blessed that this is the only job I've ever had. My entire life, I've put on short pants and gone to a gym, okay? You know, when I came here, I told Nikki, hey, I don't need to be a head coach again. I'm very happy being an assistant. And my career's been, you know, I'm Forrest Gump, man. I just kind of wander through life and awesome stuff happens all around me. And so I've been back and forth between head coach and assistant coach. I've been back and forth between coaching male players and female players, right? And anyway, head coach or assistant, I enjoy being an assistant, right? So this is the role I have now, and I'm going to do my very, very best job with Darius. Darius and I are going to work together, okay? And we're going to do our very best job to serve our players in the very best way that we can. This is zero about me. Darius would tell you this is zero about him. This is 100% about the players in this organization. And so we're just going to serve them.
Next question comes from Christina Williams from Girls Talk Sports TV. Go ahead, Christina.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to follow up with the previous question.
Sure.
So the deadline for roster finalizations is coming up as well. How are you going to now approach that in terms of strategy to finalize the roster for the Atlanta Dream this season?
Well, I think our roster's got a ton of really interesting possibilities, right? It's not, I would call it not traditional, right? And so I think it just presents a ton of interesting possibilities. And so Darius and I will work together with the ownership group on how we want to assemble that final group. Now, Tiffany Hayes obviously will be a part of the final group, but she won't get here until a little later. She's got one game left to play in the Spanish finals, right? So their 2 out of 3 is now going to go to a third game. So she'll get back to the States Sunday-ish, and then she's got to go through protocols, right? So there'll be a little lag time in getting Tiff up to speed. But I think this roster, it just really provides some interesting possibilities and opportunities for us to play in ways that folks probably won't find super traditional, but hopefully the people we're playing against will find very difficult.
Next question comes from Ron Thulen. Go ahead, Ron.
Hi, Mike. How you doing, buddy?
I am good. How are you, Ron?
Just a little shocked, but happy for you. The fact that happens now, and exhibitions are going to be starting, obviously. How much tweaking do you do, or do you just keep the same pace and the same philosophy that Nikki had coming into the season?
Yeah, there'll be very little. I mean, philosophically, there'll just be very little change because one of the things we did as a staff in our 3 years together is it was very much a staff philosophy. You know what I mean? Nikki was just awesome at including Darius and I, seeking input and then folding that into the way that we did things. Now, she was the boss, okay? She was the head coach, she ran things, and she did a great job, right? But the roster and the structure, the philosophy, the playbook, so to speak, right, was very much a staff-wide deal. So, you'll see little differences, but a lot of that will be, just my personality is going to be different from Nikki's personality. Darius's personality is going to be different from Nikki's personality, right? And there'll just be a little bit more of that.
Next question's from Spencer Nussbaum from the Next. Go ahead, Spencer.
Hey, Coach. I've also got 2 questions here. I'm
Sure.
curious if you could talk about maybe what Nikki told you and the team specifically once she had accepted the Baylor job. And if you could talk about who is sort of making front office decisions in Atlanta right now. Is it you, Darius, and the ownership group, or is there, more specific people involved?
Yeah. So on the first one, she just shared that it was an unbelievable opportunity for her and her family, and that she just felt like it was what she should do for her and her family. And our players weren't, they were totally supportive. I mean, we've got 2 Baylor Bears on this team, right? Odyssey and Kalani. So they were like, sick of it. Let's go. And so they're very happy for her. On the other question, it'll be a cooperative effort, Darius and I working with the ownership group to make those decisions, and again, it's, there isn't going to be a, chain of command issue or any of that, right? We have a good ownership group, and they're new and they want to be involved and they want to give our athletes absolutely everything they need to have success. And so, Darius and I, our job is just to share that information with them. Hey, here's how practice is going. Here's what we see. Here's who's having a good, a good run right now. Here's struggling a little bit. Here's something we might need to do. And we share that information with them. And then we're very comfortable with, their decisions.
And our last couple questions here. Sorry about that.
We're good.
We'll go on to Alec McQuaid from NBC. Go ahead, Alec.
Hey there. I'm just curious. Nikki talked a lot recently about building off the momentum at the end of last season. I'm curious, where did you see the momentum? Where do you see that momentum lying now, especially with some of the new additions and drafting McDonald? And how do you think that your style may help build off that momentum?
Again, I'm not sure I have a style. You know what I mean?
Well, like what you mentioned, especially with the practices and they're shorter and different, that kind of way.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I just, so a year ago, okay, in the bubble, okay, our team was by far the most affected by all of the COVID stuff, right? So Renee and Tiff opted out, okay? And then Courtney tested positive, couldn't join us in the bubble for several weeks. And then Kalani and Glory tested positive. So we went to training camp last year with 9 players. Poor Darius, he had to suit up every day. I mean, there was an ice bath every night in Darius's hotel room, And so we couldn't practice basically. And so that team had this very gradual trajectory of improvement. And then Kennedy sprained her ankle, and everybody's got a story. But when we finally got people out of COVID, we finally got Kennedy's ankle healed up. We went 4-2 down the stretch and played really well. Okay. And so that's what you want to carry over. Okay. Now with this group, okay, what I would say is I think that this group will be similar to the group we had our first year here. Okay. Where we went, 23-11 and had the best record in the East. And Nikki was WNBA Coach of the Year, deservedly so. That team was very much a 500 team through about, I'm not going to get this right, 18 or so games, right? As we had to build how to play together, get all of the pieces on the same page, right? And learn to play with one another. And then we went on that just unbelievable stretch. We won 9 in a row and finished super strong and ended up getting eliminated in a 5-game series with Washington, right? So I think this team will look a little like that, right? We have a lot of new pieces, okay, through free agency, through the draft, right? A lot of new pieces. And it's going to take them a while to learn to play together, okay? Training camps in this league are very, very short. Okay. And there's 2 exhibition games or preseason games. That's it. Okay. And players join your team as you're going along, right? Tiffany Hayes is a critical piece of this team. She doesn't even get to town till Sunday. The likelihood is she won't play in our first game. Okay. So there'll be this kind of slow build. And I think this is a team that will be much, much better in August than they are in June. Okay. And I think that's kind of a common sense deal. The teams that have kind of everybody back from last year are going to be way ahead of us. They know what they're doing. Their training camp is, hey, remember what we did last year? Do that again. Our training camp is name tags. Hi, my name is, right? We're just getting to learn each other, and we will, and it'll be good. This group's got a lot of really interesting possibilities.
All right, and our last question comes from B. Terrell. Go ahead, B.
Good afternoon, Coach. Congratulations. Just had 2 quick questions for you. Are there plans of adding an additional assistant coach at some point in the season, or will it just be you and Darius throughout?
Good question. Yeah, our ownership group is working right now to add staff. So yes, we anticipate as quickly as we can getting someone that's really qualified, okay, added to our staff, and then they'll have to go through protocols. They'll have to post the negative tests. Are you vaccinated? Are you not vaccinated? All of those things. But yes, that is one of the first things that as a group, Darius and I and the ownership group started working on just right away, because we need help. I mean, we lost Nikki, who obviously was the head coach and a very, very important part of what we did every day. And so we need to add back value onto our staff. And I'm confident that we'll find really good folks.
Okay. And secondly, with the league and players using their platforms to really advocate for changes across multiple issues, has there been a discussion yet in how you can support to help them continue to elevate their voices?
Yeah, our players know me. Last year when we were in the wobble, okay, that was our day-to-day existence. And it was for everyone, but it was especially for us, okay, given our unique situation. Let me tell you what our players know about me. And the better they know me, the more they know this, okay? I'm here for them, okay? And I'm here to support them. And I'm here to encourage them. And I think it is fabulous that our individual players and our team and our organization uses their voice to express opinions on important issues. I mean, you say what you want. This organization had a hand, our players, okay, our players had a hand in changing the balance of the United States Senate, right? Of course, they're going to continue that. It's who they are. It's what they do. And again, no different than anything else. I'm here to support what they want to do with their platforms. I'm here to support what they want to do personally with their brands, as is Darius. Okay, both of us. Okay, I don't want to lose sight of that. The two of us are working together here. Okay, and both of us are here to support our players in any possible way that we can.
All right. Thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining, everyone.